Okay, so we're going to come to all fours. So that means you have to move, Diego. Diego, move, go forward, go forward. All right, you're coming onto all fours. So look down at your hands. Are the finger bones lined up with the bones of your hand? Do you feel, where does your body connect to the ground right now? Press into that. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, begin to lift your right leg and your left arm. Your next exhale, lower. Inhale in the middle. Your exhale, left leg back, right arm forward. Notice still the left hand, the left finger pads, the left knuckles, the right shin. Feel the support you're getting from the ground right now. Exhale, lower. Walk your hands forward. Plant the finger pads and knuckles and reach the pelvis back. So this is puppy. Again, the hips are up. You'll notice, those of you that have been practicing in regards to the work we've been doing with the pelvis, that if you begin to place your felt sense at the space between the sit bones, tailbone, perineum, and up toward the core of your pelvis, what happens to your spine when you do that? And then go ahead, walk your hands back. Grab your blocks, please. If you've got blocks anyway. If you've got blocks, can you take your hands on your blocks and take downward facing dog? Tuck the toes, take the hips up and back. So you have to firmly reach, right, from the shoulder blades to the upper arms, to the index finger knuckle. Let's go ahead and just bend the left knee. So we can reach back through the right leg a little more. Ujjayi breathing, please. If you know your Ujjayi, use it. Bring the left heel down, bend the right knee slightly. Just enough so you can find your left heel. Can you find the full circumference of your left heel? And then we'll put both heels down. That's why we're on the blocks right now. Is if you've got blocks and you're able to root all the way through both feet. Your next exhale, step your left foot forward for a low lunge. Balance the weight in your hips. Lengthen through the crown of the skull and reach into the earth. So on the front foot, reach into the ground. How does the front heel find the ground? What is the shape of it? As well, on the back leg, the back inner thigh is toned, and you're reaching through the inner and the outer heel of the back foot. Even though it's lifted, is the reach balanced? And then we're going to step the left foot back. Right foot forward. So balancing the weight in the hips. How does the right heel find the ground? And without tilting the whole ankle in, how does the upper right inner heel find the ground without tilting the ankle joint? How do you do that? Are you reaching back through both the inner and the outer heel of the left foot? Step the right foot back. Downward dog with hands on blocks or the ground. A deep inhale, and with your next exhale, go ahead, step your awkward foot forward. And then the other one, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. You can use your blocks to help you lengthen forward. And exhale, bow. Inhale, rise. Arms overhead. Exhale your hands back in front of your heart. Inhale, lift both arms. Exhale to chair pose. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, straighten both legs. Exhale, fold. So the breath is most important right now. Like you're just balancing the breath. Your movement is cued by your breath. So your next inhale, come halfway up. This is Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, bend both knees. Inhale, lift the torso, lift the arms. There's chair pose. Inhale, straighten the legs. Exhale, hands in front of your heart. Release your arms and step your right foot back. Right foot back. So we're going to Parsvottanasana. So the back foot is going to have a little turnout, not much, maybe like 10 degrees, just a little. We'll inhale the arms wide. And exhale, both legs straight, bowing forward. Hands are coming down to blocks. To start, blocks. Both legs are straight. And then some of you will continue to fold a little forward. Even as I fold forward right now, I'm going to keep reaching from the center of the pelvis. So can you find the space? You might have to lengthen the torso back forward, sorry. Between your pubic bone and the front of your sacrum. Where's the center of that? And from that center, reach back toward your right inner sit bone, right inner tailbone as you bow forward. As you bow forward, you're reaching back, so you're staying grounded in your back leg. You might reach your left hand back to the top of the sacrum. The right hand of your sacrum would be slightly higher than the left. Just check back there. Is it? Is the right side of your sacrum just a little higher than the left? Then we'll inhale, come halfway so the spine is long. As you exhale, stay rooted back there. Keep reaching because you're going to come all the way up. Arms overhead. And then exhale, step forward. Inhale, lift both arms. Exhale your hands back to the heart center. We'll take the left leg back. Left leg back. Left foot has a very slight turnout. Inhale the arms out wide. And exhale, bowing forward. So right now you can find where's the center of the pelvis between the pubic bone and sacrum. Reach back to the space between the left sit bone, left tailbone, perineum. So there the hands find blocks. Still grounding, still reaching back as you bow forward. Deep, full breath, balanced breath. And sometimes I like to just take my hand back and feel, is the left side of my sacrum just slightly higher than the right? Is the right, you'll notice what's happening through the right hip. Is the right leg straight? I don't want any micro bends in the right knee. Right leg is straight. You can have the blocks as tall as you need them. And then start to lift the torso part way. Now, there you are halfway. You've got the hands touching something, lengthening through the crown. Can you connect to that space at the center of the pelvis between the pubic bone and sacrum? The center, all the way back into that space between the perineum, the left sit bone, the left tail. And see if that helps you as you transition yourself. Up, arms up. And then we'll release the arms and step forward. All right, turn, take a wide-legged stance. Now you're gonna turn forward. You can move your blocks over there. Oh, I know what I'm gonna do with this, sorry. So what I would love is for this wide-legged forward fold. That when you come down, and you might, I don't know if you're gonna need blankets or pillows or what, but I'd like to ground the head. So when you come down in a moment, for example, I'm gonna walk my hands back to the space between my feet and drop my head. So here my head is not reaching the floor. So I'm gonna take either a blanket, and that works for me. Some of you might need, you know, blocks, whatever you need to find the earth, okay? Wide-legged forward fold with something supporting either at the top of the head or at the hairline. A small dog, maybe. The thickness of your corgi. Are you still actively reaching into the heels? Can you reach from the lower inner thigh, inner knee, to both inner heels? And then can you balance the weight between the inner and the outer heel? All right. Then you'll walk yourself back to hands on the ground and shift the hands to your hips and come up to standing. Let's step the feet together. Take mountain pose for a moment. All right, great. Step the feet apart again. We're going to take triangle pose. So triangle pose, let's go to your left first. Your left, so if you'll take your left foot, turn it up. Take a block at the left outer shin. Inhale, take the arms out. And exhale to triangle. Bring the back hand on the hip. Left hand comes down to find a block. So where's the center of the pelvis? Between the pubic bone and sacrum. Reach from there into the back, right, sit bone, tailbone, perineum. On the front leg is the left outer hip, the greater trochanter. Did you draw it into midline? When you did, what happened to the weight in your front foot? And turn your thoracic spine towards the sky. Maybe reach the arm up. So still, again, reach on that front leg. The outer hip comes to center. You're lengthening down your left inner thigh all the way down to the left foot. Then we'll inhale, come up. And we'll spin the feet for the second side. So a block at the right outer shin. You can start it on any height, right? You can change it as you go, and you probably, it's likely you might as you get more length in the body. Inhale, the arms wide. Exhale, I'm starting to reach from that center of my pelvis to on the back leg, that space between perineum, pubic bone, sit bone, tailbone. You might take the left hand on the hip. What's happening through the front leg is the weight balanced in the hip joint. And then some of you might be able to place your felt sense at the inner left pubic bone and inner left sit bone, perineum, and you're going to lengthen up towards that center of the pelvis. When you do, you might feel yourself more easily able to turn. And if all of that just sounds like gobbledygook, then go back to your feet. How is the weight going through your feet right now into the ground? Inhale, come up. Exhale, make the feet parallel. Shift the hands back to the hips and bow forward. Can you go back to the pose you did before, where you walk the hands back and you add support under the head? And then we'll walk the hands out. Shift them up to the hips. And come up to standing. Step your feet back together. Okay. So I want to do with you, I want to do half moon, and the way I want to do it, I don't know what's going on with this camera, is I want to do it from a place, so you're going to have your 2 blocks, if you've got that many blocks. Or you could use, like an ottoman. I mean, you could use a low bench too. But there's three places I want to just reference in half moon. And these 3 places are how the weight is going through the hip joints and through the pelvis. So let me just talk about it for a moment before you go. So you're gonna have both blocks at your mat, or I could have a stool, whatever, that's about that height, more or less. And then, because in a moment, so just watch a second, in a moment, I'm gonna shift my weight to this leg right now, my right leg, and I'm gonna lift my left. And when I do, I'm gonna draw this outer hip in towards midline. Because if I don't, I'm gonna be hanging my weight in the greater trochanter. And it's gonna, when I unweight the opposite hand, and most of the weight is out there, I'm gonna find it really difficult to turn. There's too much weight out here. So I'm gonna ask you, when you go into this in a moment, just wait a sec, you're gonna pull the outer hip into midline. The second part of this that I want you to explore is sometimes in half moon, we are turned so much toward the ground that, like say here for me, the SI joint on the standing leg is gonna be taking a lot more weight. So I'm gonna draw my right arm on my left leg, I'm gonna draw my left outer hip in, and I'm gonna start to reach through my standing leg. So now, how the weight is coming through from my left hip through the pelvis, all the way back through the standing leg. I want you to really explore that when you go to your half moon, okay? So, I think the way we'll start this morning is gonna be a little different than we have been. So you're gonna go ahead and bow forward toward your blocks or the bench or whatever you're using to support you. Is that little toe side of the foot lined up with the inside of the block? And you can always change the height of the blocks if you're using blocks. Sometimes recently, after all these years, I'm finally like, wow, there's a point where actually the block is too high. All right, so let's have you stand on your right foot first. So lift the left leg up, draw the right outer hip into midline, like you could draw it all the way towards the right inner thigh. And then start to reach out your lifted leg. Take the left hand, you might put it up on your left hip, and you're going to start to turn towards your left. You might lift your left arm up. That's it. And there you go, Ellie. Reach a little more out the lifted leg. Take the, yeah, like that. There you go. Reach it back. Reach it back. Good. Take your time, everyone. And then when you're ready, you can turn back towards the ground, lower the back leg, and pause for a moment. There you are. If you have a question, you're welcome to ask it. Everyone else will be like, yeah, please ask a question. That'd be great. All right, are you ready? So you're shifting the weight to the left. As you do, when you start to lift your right leg up, draw the left outer hip in. Draw it in. So you're not weight bearing the greater trochanter. You're pulling it to midline. You're going to feel the left inner thigh really turn on. The right leg lifts. And then start to reach out the right foot, the ball of the right foot, really lengthen. Yeah, so there's this diagonal reach from the left hip to the right hip. And then maybe, you know, right hand comes to the hip. Maybe it comes up towards the sky. What's happening with the standing leg? Are you reaching all that way? That's it, Lise. You can keep reaching and reach out the ball of the right foot. Take the right ball of the right foot, reach it back there. Is the left leg straight? And then when you're ready, come down. Ingrid, that looks cool. That looks really good. Great, wonderful, everyone. Then shift the hands to the hips and come up to standing. If you practice this, if you practice this at home, that's a really funny statement. If you practice this sometimes on your own and you want to use a wall, I would suggest taking, like if this was my wall, I would use the, just the toes at the wall so that I can work with having the toes at the wall, not my whole foot. And you can practice it that way, which is kind of fun, right? Because you feel a lot of support from just the toes being on the wall. If we take the whole heel to the wall, I don't think you're going to be able to feel that whole transition through the pelvis to the lifted leg. So, FYI. Okay.
Lynn?
Questions about that?
Yeah, if you feel that you have too much weight on your arms as you start to lift your leg and turn, where should you get more strength to alleviate the weight on your arms?
You probably want to reach out your lifted leg a little more.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's a great question. Now you might be, and what might be happening, if there's too much weight, if I'm on my right foot and there's a lot of weight on my right arm, it makes me wonder if I'm putting a lot of weight in my right outer hip. Because if I pull it into midline, I can get even lighter on that down arm. So I'm just on my fingertips, or maybe, I might even find I can dangle the arm. It's all about drawing that into midline. So that's what I would try these.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else, Half Moon, questions?
Yeah, I used to hate this pose, and it's very exciting to me because I'm getting better each time.
Oh, that is exciting.
Yeah. Even on the side that's weaker, so I'm getting it.
That is awesome. That's so awesome.
I'm making improvements too, so I'm excited about it because, yeah. And I just tried the toe thing and it was helpful. And dangling the arm. If I couldn't put it up, I could dangle it and still get the feel of balance. That was a good tip.
This is so good. So if we're going to use the wall, let's take the toes to the wall.
Yeah.
So that we're still really working. If we have a wall behind our body and we're leaning into it, we often can't find, we can't really engage through that outer hip strength to pull to midline because we kind of, we're kind of like, where's the wall? Where's the wall?
Yeah. That's what I was doing.
Yeah. Great. Super fun. It's always fun when like a pose that we're, we don't feel very successful in turns a little corner.
Yeah, I like it.
Sometimes they turn corners all the time. And we have to remember it doesn't have to be an age-related thing. I think sometimes we always think like, oh, I'm getting older, I'm just not as good at this anymore. I mean, sure, you can always go down that road, but let's try to resist it. Let's try to keep strengthening ourselves. Let's not kind of let ourselves go into this place of like, this is the way it's gonna be, okay?
Yeah.
You gotta stay optimistic about things. We must stay optimistic. We can have our moments, but all right. So now we're going to come to the ground. We're going to need a strap on the ground, and we're going to make. We don't need a loop in the strap. We'll just take the strap long. We're going to take. We did this yesterday. A reclined Upavista Konasana, and I can show you what we're going to do before you do it. When you lie down in a moment, you're going to take your strap and you're going to put it around the heels. You're going to go vertically first. Then you're going to take the legs apart. So I like to wrap that a little around my wrists. We're going to be here for probably a minute or so. Then we're going to go back to vertical. I'm going to wrap this strap or shorten it somehow. We'll take the soles of the feet together, so we'll be in a reclined Baddha Konasana. And then I'm going to lower my feet for a supine Baddha Konasana. Okay? So take a strap or something, scarf, belt, whatever, and take the legs up. Put the strap in front of your heels. Feel the ground. If you need a little pillow, if your forehead is higher than your chin, then put a little something under the back of the head. And I'm not trying to bring my feet towards my face, towards my head. I'm actually trying to, try to be a little more vertical. So I noticed I just had to give a little more slack to my legs. Alrighty. Then we're going to start to slide the feet apart, the hands apart. I might wrap the strap once around the back of my hand. And I'm in Upavista Konasana. So I've got this supported place. Both legs as straight as you can get them. Relaxing through the organs, through the belly. Where are your kidneys? You figure out where your kidneys are. They're just tucked up under the back of the rib cage. Part of them is at the back of the rib cage, just a little bit. All right, so now we're going to bring the legs back together. And I'll either let go of my strap and reach up higher for it, my feet coming together, and I'll wrap the strap again around the back of my hands. Then I'm going to bend the knees out to the side and bring the soles of the feet toward each other. So the strap is actually holding my feet together as my knees go apart right now. And then I'm going to slowly lower my legs toward the floor. I'm still holding on to my strap. Now, if that's too far for you, if bringing the feet all the way to the floor is too far, you could put the feet up on a block. That might feel, better if you're having like, whoa, then I don't want to go all that way. That's too far. Then elevate the feet on a block or two. Resting back toward the kidneys. Alrighty, then let's let go of the strap. Bring the knees together. I'm going to take the strap over the tops of my knees, and now I've got both feet flat on the floor. My knees are bent. And I'm going to take the right outer heel, pinky toe side of my right foot to the top of the left knee. If I need a strap, I can use it behind my left thigh as I draw my left knee up. So I could use my strap if I need it, if it's too, or else I can put my hands back there behind the left thigh. So little toe side of the right foot is at the top of the left thigh. I can use the strength at the top of the left thigh to draw my left knee in also. I notice that my right foot is in the shape as if it were standing on the ground. And I'm also going to make sure that there's a little more weight on the left side of my sacrum than the right. Or we could say, I just want the right outer hip not to be taking weight while I'm doing this big stretch with the right outer hip. And then I'm going to release the left foot back to the ground and switch sides. So we'll take the left across, little toe side of the left foot, pinky toe, whatever. Draw the right knee up, relax the right lower leg. Is the left foot as if it's on the ground, so it's not, foot is not sickled at all. And I can use the strength at the top of the right thigh. If I'm looking for, I really want the right thigh closer to me, I'll use the strength at the top of the right thigh to do that. If I need a strap, I used my strap. There's just slightly more weight to the right. I could also, use a piece of furniture for my foot, if that's always nice. So the right lower leg is like a wet noodle. The right lower shin, I just let it fall like a noodle, a wet noodle, not a dry out of a package noodle, right? And then let's roll over, we'll release that, sorry. You'll go ahead and roll over to one side. Use your arms to push yourself up. We're gonna take a block to sit upon. We're gonna put my blocks, here they are. So if we sit on a block, and let's straighten the right leg and bend the left knee. I'm gonna put just a little support under my right knee because otherwise my right knee likes to go in hyperextension. So I'm gonna have the right leg straight, left foot on the ground. And we're gonna take a twist to the left. So left hand behind. You can either hold the outer left knee with your hand, with your inner elbow, or your outer elbow. The left hand behind me, either on a stack of blankets or a block. So from the left outer hip, across that glute to the left sacrum. And then we'll come back to center. Take the second side. So right hand behind you, left hand to the outer knee, inner elbow or outer elbow. From the back of the right greater trochanter, all the way over to the back of the right sacrum. I'm just kind of interested in that space, even though that's not the place where I feel sensation. And then with the next exhale, let's come back to center. We'll come, we're gonna go to Gomukhasana, legs. I'm gonna use the block for that. You could use a blanket or something else, but I might use my block. Maybe I need more height. But when I come down, I'm gonna take, this is one way to come into it, would be if I bring my right knee to the midline, take my right foot to the left side of my block, and my left foot to the right side. That's one way to get into it. And I'm gonna start just by sitting vertically. Take a vertical seat here. I want to find how does the pelvis meet the blocks? So some of us might stay vertical. Some of us might walk the hands forward. I'm just going to explore a little lower seat. I've made some progress in this pose over some time. Sitting on the block used to be such a big stretch for me, but now I don't notice it as much. It's just interesting. And then let's switch sides. So back to vertical if you're not. You could either press yourself up and switch sides, or you can do it seated, you can switch sides. So start with the vertical posture. And I might stay in that vertical posture the whole time. Some of us might walk forward a little. And then we'll walk the hands back. If you're on a, let's all come off a block. If you're on a block, we're gonna straighten both legs and sit in Dandasana. So you can sit up on a blanket or two, straighten both legs. And we'll give the legs a little bit of some love. All right. So now we're going to take Janu Shashasana. I'm going to sit on 2 blankets. You might sit on less or more. Right leg straight. And I'm going to bring my left foot. The heel is more towards the perineum. Or a little, I don't have my foot smashed up against my right inner thigh. I've got it pulled back a little. But I am going to face my right leg. And I'm going to take my right hand to my right sit bone and just kind of pull that flesh out right there so I can feel a little more grounded through my right sit bone for a moment. Facing the right leg, hands on either side. Let's start to bow forward. My left side starts to get lighter. The left sit bone becomes light. Oh, I might grab my right foot if my body lets me. Otherwise, I'll just have my hands on either side of my right leg. I'm not going for the most intense sensation I can find. I don't need to right now. I don't need to go to a level of intensity. I can work with a little more subtlety. And then we'll come back up, switch legs, take my left hand under my left knee, lift my left leg up. I'm going to turn my blankets a little bit, sit up, right knee out. So, and if my right knee, if my right shin Doesn't touch the ground. I'm gonna put another blanket under there. I'm gonna face my straight left leg and begin to come forward over it. Pause. I notice that the right sit bone gets lighter. I'm fine with that. I don't mind that at all. I want it. I want the right back of my right thigh or my right sit bone to be a little lighter than what's happening at the back of the left. So you'll either have your hands on the ground or maybe the hands reach your foot. But I'm not going for my most intense sensation right now. I'm working more with my breathing and a little more of the subtle changes that I feel. And then we'll come back up again. Coming up, great. I'm going to take my hand under my right knee. I'm going to take Dandasana again, both legs straight. All right, now I want to come into this supported kind of heart opening pose. And so if you have a wall, now some of you also have a slippery floor. That's all right, we're going to do this simple. There's a couple of different options. One would be having yourself close to a wall. And one would be, if you have a bolster, you can use your bolster to be like that. If I don't have a bolster, okay, I'm going to teach it without because I think most people do not. I'm going to take one of my blankets like this. I'm going to put another blanket on top of it in that same shape. If I have a third blanket, I'm going to use it. And I'm going to make a big roll out of this. I'm going to roll these 3 blankets up because yesterday I used 2 and I wished I'd used 3. Okay, now we're really getting into your resources here. Because I'm gonna use even a 4th blanket. I'm gonna roll it up as a transition. It's going like a little lower, right? Okay, so when I come into this, I'm going to come into it so that my pelvis is actually going to be a little bit, not right on the big stack, slightly on the other side of it, so that the pubic bone or the tailbone is going away from, the navel. And then I can either leave my feet on the ground. I could take my feet up the wall. Some of you might even, if you're long, you might take your feet up on a couple blocks, just straight out. Either way, I'm gonna rest here for a little bit. This isn't Shavasana. I've got this extra blanket under the back of my lower ribs just as a transition. If I had I don't have a very long torso, but it does feel pretty nice to have that second blanket there. So basically the pelvis is elevated and then Yeah, the pelvis is elevated. That looks good. That looks great, Anne. I like that shape. And let's see, Lise, she'll go a little more towards your head, just a bit more towards your head, so your pelvis will come just a little. There you go. That looks a little better. Oh, I'm looking at that sweet dog of yours, Patricia. Yeah, and the arms are out in a comfortable position. For some of us, that might be like a cactus pose, but I want the wrists to be able to rest on the ground. I want the arms to feel supported. And then you can make a transition to kind of slide your way away from your props, or you can always roll over to one side if that works for you. And then you'll just give yourself, maybe a little support under the legs, whatever's comfortable for you. You're going to come down to get ready for Shavasana. You might like initially lying the torso on the ground and then bringing both knees up to the chest. And just taking a moment to lengthen the low back, to make your place comfortable. And then when you're ready, you'll bring yourself to Shavasana, to resting. And I'll share with you a poem by Melody Beattie. It's called Acceptance. A magical potion is available to us today. That potion is called acceptance. We are asked to accept many things, ourselves as we are, our feelings, needs, desires, choices, and current status of being. Other people as they are, the status of our relationships with them, problems, blessings, state of our health, financial status, where we live, our work, our tasks, our level of performance at these tasks. Resistance will not move us forward, nor will it eliminate the undesirable. But even our resistance may need to be accepted. Even resistance yields to and is changed by acceptance. Acceptance is the magic that makes change possible. It's not forever. It's for the present moment. Acceptance is the magic that makes our present circumstances good. It brings peace and contentment and opens the door to growth, change, and moving forward. It shines the light of positive energy on all that we have and are. And within the framework of acceptance, we figure out what we need to do to take care of ourselves. It empowers the positive and tells God we've surrendered to the plan, we've mastered our lesson, and are ready to move on. Acceptance is the magic that makes change possible. Not forever, but for the present moment. So allow the deepening of your breath and awakening to movement. Make a transition over to one side. And then use the support of your arms as you come back up to sitting. As you come to sitting, just notice the connection again to your seat. Join your hands in front of your heart, honoring your presence and the presence of others. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.